Today I'm just going to tell you a few stories about a friend that I have with me most of the time. Well, to say he's a friend is not really true. You see, he's not really a person at all, but in many ways he's part of who I am, and in other ways he's just a whole lot bigger than I am. But to make it easier for today and to be able to tell you this story, I'm just going to give him a name. And the name that I give him is Hospitality. We'll just call him Hop for short. Hop, he's a good friend. Most of the time. Most of the time. Sometimes I would just rather Hop be quiet. If truth were told, sometimes I would just like to pretend that he wasn't there. Sometimes Hop embarrasses me. Like when we're in an elevator. Now, there are rules of conduct in an elevator. You all know that. You get in, and if there are people in the elevator already, you might nod to them. But then you just push the button for the floor that you're on and you stand back. In elevators, it's best if you look down at your feet. Just check out your shoes. Make sure you have the right ones on. Make sure they're polished. If you get bored with that, then you can look up at count the tiles in the ceiling or look at the lights to see what floor your elevator is on. You do this because the cardinal rule in elevators is that you don't make eye contact. We all know that. And you don't talk to anybody. You definitely don't talk to anybody. That's the other elevator rule. But the problem is, good old Hop, Hospitality, who, when I get on the elevator, I stick in my back pocket, he's always just bursting at the seams to get out. He just wants to say hello. He wants to make a connection. And occasionally, I let him out. Good morning, I might say. How are you? Busy day? Now, in an elevator, if you've done this, you know it goes one of two ways. Sometimes the other person's hospitality is relieved, and they say, oh, wonderful to chat with you. Thank you very much. It is a good day, or it is a busy day. How are you doing? Other times, good old Hop is met with silence, or even a glare, or occasionally a groan. And I'm reminded of the cardinal rules. You don't talk in elevators, and you don't look anybody in the eye. Sometimes when that happens, Hop just embarrasses me. In other places, though, my good old friend Hop is just in his element. Barb and I went out for dinner a couple of weeks ago, and the servers usually have their Hop on high. And when Barb and I have our Hop on high and the server has their Hop on high, it makes for a wonderful, delightful time. As a matter of fact, when 2 or 3 or 4 people are high on Hop, it usually makes for a great time. The trick, of course, is to allow Hop to come out and be at his best when other people seem to have lost their Hop. Remember a time that Barb and I were out for a drive on a Sunday afternoon. We were just enjoying ourselves, looking at houses, looking at the neighborhood, watching people. It was a beautiful sunny day, not unlike today. And my Hop and Barb's Hop, we were just having a great time talking to each other. Then we passed by a police car going in the other direction. All of a sudden, we heard lights. Well, we didn't hear lights. We saw lights and heard a siren. And the police car stopped in the middle of the road and backed up towards us. I dutifully pulled over, my Hop still very much in control. The police car parked behind us. Inwardly, I have to admit, I groaned. What now? But I kept Hop at the front for the conversation. As the police officer said, "License and registration, please." "Sure, officer. Can you tell me why you pulled me over?" "You were not wearing your seatbelt." Now, I was wearing my seatbelt, but trying to keep hospitality front and center and trying to keep other things like frustration and anger that was building up a little bit in check, I said, "Officer, I was wearing my seatbelt." And he said, "No, you weren't, and both myself and my partner saw you reach in after we pulled you over to put your seatbelt on," and he walked back to his car. And that was it. That's all it took. I took Hop and stuffed him down in between the seats so that he had nowhere to go. And I jumped out of my car, and with the twins called frustration and anger, I slammed my car door, walked toward the officers, and the officer immediately turned around and said, "Get back in your vehicle." His hospitality nowhere in sight either. "If you need someone to get back in their vehicle, you can get back in your vehicle," I said. Well, as you can imagine, it all went downhill from there. Afterwards, Barb said to me that she was embarrassed. Embarrassed by my behavior. And you know what? Today, I'm embarrassed by my behavior as well. Sometimes it doesn't matter whether you're right or not. Sometimes it's just more important to treat people with kindness and care. And on that day, when I took Hop and shoved him between the seats of my car, I was not a follower of Jesus. Afterwards, Hop crawled out from between the seats and had a bit of a conversation with me. I apologized to him, of course, and he said something that I've never forgotten. "Marty," he said, "when you shoved me down in between the seats so hard, it hurt. And there's only one reason why you shoved me out of sight like that." "What reason is that?" I asked. "Ego," he said. "It's just ego." It's taken me quite a while, but I know that Hop is right about that. Most of the time, though, Hop and I get along quite well. There are times that he still gets under my skin, even today. Phone calls from telemarketers, for example. He still wants to strut his stuff, and I tell him, "Stop it, enough is enough, get lost." But lots of times, he wins the argument, and he simply says, "Marty, they're just doing their job. They need to put food on the table for themselves and for their families as well." Sometimes, too, I have to admit that Hop kind of disappears on me for long periods of time. And when he does, I have to do some internal assessment. Did Hop disappear on me because of my ego? Have I unconsciously shoved him away? Is it because I'm tired or depressed or down? Is it because I'm hurt or afraid? Doing that internal work is so incredibly necessary because Hop is important to me. And because as a follower of Jesus, hospitality is what we are all called towards each and every day in each and every situation. There are times that I know that I need help. Help to enable Hop to do his thing again. So I lean harder into the eternal source of hospitality, the prime mover of hospitality, so to speak, the one that Jesus leaned into always as well. And at those times, I recognize that I need to talk to others as well. I need to hear and see and feel other people's kindness and hospitality, because somehow when I hear and see hospitality and kindness from others, it coaxes my hospitality to be front and center again. It actually helps tremendously, and I become more and more aware of how much we all need each other. To be followers of Jesus, to be people of hospitality, we need each other, and we need Jesus. We need God. What the world needs now is kind and hospitable people. You know it, and I know it. There is increasing polarization in the world. People literally not talking to each other. Black and white thinking. If you're not for us, you're against us. So much polarization, caused primarily by stress and by fear and by anxiety. You know, in Jesus' day, the political and economic situation that people were in would have caused a lot of stress and fear and anxiety as well. Sometimes we give the leaders of the people in Jesus' day a really hard time. We criticize them roundly, and we team up with Jesus, and we say to them, "So there, what he said, take that." We're less than generous with people that we disagree with. We're less than generous sometimes with the people that Jesus criticized. But a word of caution. So often we have a lot more in common with the leaders of the people of Jesus' day than we actually do with Jesus. So today, all of us, today is a day to listen to Jesus, to practice kindness, to keep our hospitality by whatever name you want to call him, her, they, to keep hospitality front and center. In essence, that's what Jesus is calling us to do in this passage. Jesus says it this way: whatever goes into a person cannot defile them. It is what comes out of a person that corrupts. It is, in effect, what comes out of our heart, what comes out of our mouths, that make a huge difference in the world. So practice kindness in all that you do. Practice hospitality. Take out good old Hop and keep him, her, them front and center. Today, practice hospitality. Today and until the day that you die, practice kindness. Kindness is the kind of hill that I would want to die on. How about you? What hill do you want to die on? Thanks be to God. Amen.